Welcome back to DS Trucks. In today's video, we're going to be doing an oil change on our 21 Ecoboost F-150. This is going to be the first maintenance, and we are going with all Motorcraft fluids and filter. Check it out. So we're going with the Motorcraft full synthetic oil 5W30 with an OEM Motorcraft filter that we picked up from the dealership. Let's go ahead and get this Ecoboost jacked up. See you guys at the next scene. And we have the jack stands in place and the floor jack in the middle. This is how I like to jack my F-150s up, right there in the center cross member, as you can see. And with the two floor jacks right there, we lower our weight onto the jack stands with one hand. I'm gonna have to use two hands here. All right, here we go, slowly. And you can see the weight comes off of the floor jack and it comes down. See you guys at the next scene. We have 4 bolts to remove, 1 in each corner, 4 8mm on J-clips, exposing our drain plug, and Ford now uses a metal oil pan, which is nice. No more composite oil pan, at least on this 21 Ecoboost F-150. Alright, so before I like to pull off my oil pan, I like to actually take off my oil cap and pull my dipstick. So I'll take my cap off, I'll set it right there on top, and I'll pull out my dipstick just enough. Now the reason for that is it lets a little airflow underneath. Now let's go ahead and shoot underneath the truck and drain this oil. Alright, so I got my 15mm wrench. I'm gonna loosen this up. If it's tight, then I'll just go ahead and loosen it with my impact. If I can get that in there, I don't know. All right, impact just to get it a little bit loose, and I'll finish it with the wrench. I would finish it with the impact, but then again, if you end up getting oil on your impact, that's not good. So got it loose by hand. Got my oil pan set up to hopefully catch most of this, and let's see how she flows out. Now the reason I pull the cap and the dipstick is it allows air into the system, allows air into the crankcase, so the oil can flow out nice and smooth, nice and fast. We'll see if there's a mess here. Fingers crossed for not too big of a mess. Let's do it. Not too bad, not too bad at all. Looks like I'm hitting my target here. Set my pan up to catch my leakage and move on to the oil filter. See you guys up front. Alright guys, way up in there is the oil filter wrench. Let's see if I can reach in there and get that out. So here we go. Get in there. It's kind of tighter. All these extra hoses and stuff, being a Ecoboost, makes it a little bit more difficult. This is actually designed to come out of oil or out of this funnel right here in the front, but when you jack the truck up at home, unless you jack up the rear of the truck and make the truck level, then it comes out of the back here. As you can see right there, stream coming out. If you can see that, no, it's hard to see with the exposure being so bright. I mean, if I come at it this way, you can see the oil's coming out right here on the back. But let's go ahead and run this filter off. Hand right up in here. Can't really see it, but it's coming. The filter comes off. Let's see here. This is gonna be, oh, there's my oil, big glob of oil. You're gonna see the Ford Moco OEM filter. There it is, Ford Moco OEM filter. Leave it right in the pan. All right, let's go ahead and get the new filter on there. Now for the controversy. Should you fill the oil filter or not? This is a tough one. So the reality of the situation is you don't need to fill it. And by filling the filter, you're only introducing material into the filter. Now with this filter, it is a Motorcraft. We actually went through the trouble of going through the dealership and picking up this filter. If I were to pour oil into this, then it is unfiltered oil. So do you really need to fill it up? Not really. The pump in the system will prime this oil filter very quickly, and there is no need to pre-fill the filter. Now the reasoning behind that, let's say you're working in a real dusty, dirty environment and because of that, maybe this container's covered in grit, or maybe for whatever reason, maybe you're working on a machine and you're changing the oil on the machine or something like that, and you're just in a dirty environment. It's better for you to take the oil filter off, put a new filter on dry. Now, does that mean you can't take clean oil out of this container and put it in the filter? It doesn't mean you can't. You can do that, and it doesn't hurt. Does kind of help prime the system a little bit, but the system will prime so fast that it doesn't matter anyway. So we won't pre-fill it this time. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but keep in mind, I am wasting oil if I pre-fill this filter, because it's going to spill out and it's going to get all over the place, because this filter does not install in the upright position, unlike my 6.7 Power Stroke. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of oil here around the lip, and that little bit of oil is going to be what we use to lubricate our ring, our O-ring. Now, some people will say, well, you can pre-fill the filter if you sit there and fill it from the outside holes there, then you can pre-fill the filter. That's kind of ridiculous. I would never sit there and do that. But I mean, it's got a drain back valve, so it really doesn't even fill that way. You'd have to fill it from the center out. So some people say you should do that. I don't see that as a feasible option, filling the filter from the outside, from where the drain back valve, at least on this filter, there's a drain back valve. So just a little bit of new oil on the O-ring is enough. Don't need to pre-fill the filter and have a big mess. If you watch Ford Boss Me, he has a way of like priming the system with flood mode or something like that, so that's an option if you really are worried about oil. But we're just going to go ahead and just lubricate this ring, and we're going to put the filter on, and that's going to be it. Let's go ahead and get this filter up there. Alright, so should you fill or not? I'm going with no, just that little bit around the lip, just a dab for the lubrication of the O-ring so it comes off easily. But I'm going to go ahead and go with no, because if it's heavy and I slip and drop it, then it defeats the purpose. I'm more likely to not have the filter slip out of my hand if I just go up with it being empty, and then it's easier for me to start the threads without any extra weight, and I'm not rushing to try and hurry up and start the threads and tighten it up before all this oil leaks everywhere. So yeah, I don't need cross threading up in here, I don't need problems up in here. I am going to go ahead and tighten it up. Now, another controversy is, should you use a wrench to tighten it? And I think you should. I know everybody doesn't, and I just get it as tight as I can by hand, nice and tight, where it's nice and tight by hand. And the thing is, it's slippery now. I did get a little bit of residual oil on the outside from even lubricating the ring. And here's the thing, you really don't even need to lubricate the ring if there's oil coming out. They say it needs to be clean oil, but if it's a good synthetic oil that's coming out and it's just inadvertently going to get on that ring, it's probably going to be okay. So I am going to tighten mine up with the wrench just a little bit, just to know for certain that I won't have this filter come loose. And I've had filters start to come loose and leak out on me that were in the dealership, that were done at the dealer. So I'm having a little hard time. I'm going to sneak in there a little more. I'm going to try to get this wrench to tighten up and try to get a turn. Nice little turn on it. And there we go. That's tight enough. I don't want to go crazy and crush that O-ring too much, but just that little bit is just enough. Now I am going to go ahead and wipe this oil filter off, and then I'm going to go ahead and reinstall my drain plug into the oil pan. Alright, let's go ahead and reinstall this nice drain plug. It's got a built-in rubber O-ring. Pretty nice. Very nice from Ford. So yeah, nice built-in O-ring. Just take it in by hand, bring it down all the way, nice and tight, and then get our wrench on it, and boom. Crank it good there. Make sure it's all the way tight. They don't need to be insanely tight, but tight enough to make sure that it's not going to come off. And that's good there. Alright, so I got a can of brake clean here, and we just sprayed it out. And check it out, we got a helper. Thanks for helping us, Nate.
Hi.
Alright, right, he's doing great. He's doing his second oil change, maybe. Have you done this before? This is his first one. This is your first oil change, huh? All right, so we took some brake cleaner and cleaned out our funnel, and we are ready for some new oil to go in. Let's do it. All right, going in with 6 quarts. Here we go. Number 1. That's only 6, Nate. Oh yeah. All right, and that's the last quart of oil going in, and yeah. What do you think, Nate? Is it gonna be fast? Is it gonna be so fast?
Yeah.
We're using synthetic oil?
Yeah.
From Motor Crab?
Yeah.
All right, so last quart of oil, and let's go ahead and remove our last quart. Bear with me, I'm working with one hand, so I'm not, and it's my left hand too, and I'm not that good with my left hand. So there's that. And come out here with our funnel. Throw that in the box. And let's go ahead and reinstall our cap. Now, here's another little tip. Take a little fresh oil and put it around this O-ring on this cap, because if you don't, they tend to get a little sticky. Same thing with the dipstick, especially for guys who don't check their oil. Just stick this dipstick down in that oil. I'm gonna pull it out, and that little O-ring, you want a little oil here on this little O-ring on the dipstick. If not, it sticks and it degrades. So let's go ahead and install our dipstick. Dipstick is all the way down.
Mommy.
All right, that's empty. Milk's empty. Let's put this milk down here. You want to get down? No, you good? Okay. All right, so I'm going to take this brake clean and I'm going to spray my oil pan off. The reason for that, the drain plug. I want the drain plug to be clean. The reason I want it clean is I want to make sure it's not leaking. And if the drain plug is not clean, then it will appear to leak. So what I like to do is spray off my drain plug. So underneath, and just a little bit of spritz on the plug. Confirming that my drain plug is clean. All right, now I got to reinstall this cover, and I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll go ahead and do the first start. See you guys at the first start. All right, so I've buttoned everything up on the bottom and topped off the oil. We put in 6 quarts of oil. Now we're gonna check this oil right now, but it should read a little high because I did not start the engine just yet. So I'm gonna wipe this off and stick it in and see what we're saying, or see what it's reading right here through the valve cover. And down we go. Let's see what we got here in our stick. And just like I thought, reading a little high. Let's go ahead and actually start the engine, prime the system. And like, we did not fill the oil filter. We did not pre-fill the oil filter, so we will see the oil level rise once we start the engine. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start this up. I'm gonna just put my foot on the brake, fire up the engine, and let's hear how this thing sounds without priming the system. Is it gonna be chattery or what? Let's go ahead and start it up. So I started the engine. It took a while to actually start because of the fact that it was on the electric mode, so it didn't start the motor up right away. But once the motor did kick in, it sounded just fine. We're gonna leave the shifter down right now because the engine's running. You wouldn't want to accidentally go and drive and crash. The engine's running. We'll leave the shifter down, and our hood is ajar, doors ajar. Okay. Let's go to truck info, engine information, oil life 0%, at 175 hours and 14 engine idle hours. So the power boost really get your hands off of that. The power boost really does save a lot of engine idle hours. So let's go ahead and hold and reset the oil life monitor. We are up to 100% now. And we can go ahead and kill the motor and recheck our oil. All right, pulling the stick. Wipe it off. Now I see why mechanics, they keep the rag right by the stick. It's like they pull it out and wipe it at the same time as it's coming out. That way oil don't get everywhere. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. So we did 6 quarts, and I think we're pretty good. 5W30, 6 quarts. Our bottom bubble's full, and we're on our way to our top bubble. Now, keep in mind, to really get a good reading, it's got to sit here and settle for a period of time. You know, these engines need like 15 minutes of settling before you can get a good read. But nonetheless, we put 6 quarts in, and our oil level is by default perfect. But anyway, guys, this is it for the oil change on the Power Boost. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video. This is DS Trucks. Say thank you to the helpers, and see you guys in the next video. Over and out.